All right, it's October 15th, Municipal Election Day in British Columbia. And for those of you who live in BC who think voter fraud just happens elsewhere, think again. The Times columnist wrote an article on October 12th. It was written by Jeff Bell, and he cited the following. A flyer making the rounds in Victoria claiming to have a method of voting twice is pretty outrageous, says University of Victoria political science professor Michael Prince. It counsels people to use the name and addresses of someone they know to be dead as part of the scam, and says that the UVic polling station, University of Victoria, is the only place where this process can function. The flyer makes a reference to Tuesday, which was last Tuesday, the 11th, when an advance polling was taking place at UVic, and presents a list of preferred candidates. It goes on to say, on October 11th, we need to maximize votes. Don't let the right wing take over. The process presented includes downloading Photoshop, scanning your voter card, and adding manipulations. Using the steps, should they even work, would entail using fraud and misrepresentation, Prince said. This is quite troubling, quite disturbing, and quite shocking. He said, is it a prank? Is it just kind of a guerrilla tactic of disruption? The Local Government Act directs that election officials take all reasonable precautions to ensure that a person does not vote more than once, Prince said. The nuts and bolts of administering the polling stations all falls within each municipality's jurisdictions. Penalties are a provincial responsibility, he said. There are serious sanctions about protecting the integrity of the voting systems. Individuals who engage in activity such as fraudulently voting or conducting activity contrary to the Local Government Act can be subject to fines up to $5,000 or up to 1 year in prison. Elections BC spokesman Andrew Watson said the agency has received complaints about the flyer. It is outside of our mandate to investigate potential cases of voter fraud in local elections, but we do review any complaints we receive, he said. Our role in local elections is to administer the campaign financing and advertising rules established by the Local Elections Campaign Financing Act. Once our review is complete, we will communicate its outcome to the complainants. The City of Victoria said in a statement that there are safeguards in place to ensure the integrity of the election and the voting process. The statement said the city is confident the scheme that is outlined would not be successful in getting past our safeguards. Those include having all voters required present their identification regardless if they have a voter card or not. Along with that, the city voters list is a digital system that marks people as having voted. Once they cast a ballot, the information is updated in real time so the election officials at any voting place can determine if someone has already voted. Now, the interesting point with all this is if these folks were using the names of deceased people, I don't really know how that would function. If the city hasn't updated its records, those people would still be there. And obviously the system would work because it would mark them off as being voted. Again, I know very little because I don't know the inner mechanisms of what they're doing. However, what I would encourage you to do is if you live in British Columbia, especially in Victoria, and you can somehow today become a scrutineer, that is something you should do. Get a hold of the party that you're affiliated with and get them to get you signed up as a scrutineer. You can sit inside one of these polling stations and audit the process. That is what we should be doing. We should be part of this political process. The sad part of it is that people with, it would appear, weak ideas because they're concerned about some right-wing takeover are going to the point of trying to manipulate elections. Rarely, if ever, do you hear this happening from people that have conservative or right-leaning views. It is always people with weak ideas who resort to such tactics because they want to hold on to power dearly. Anyway, today's a very significant day. If you live in British Columbia, get out and vote. Vote for a change. You should be looking at the candidates that represent your best interests, that are not aligned with the idea of diversity, inclusion, equity, all of that madness. So please get out and vote today. Thanks for watching. I do appreciate it. Please post any comments you have in the comment section. You can also follow me on my Rumble on my Locals account. I will also put a link to the Times Colonist story in the notes. Please check it out and share with others.